Hey guys! Alright, today we got the basic essentials to understanding Adobe Premiere Pro. We're going to be covering shortcuts, understanding the timeline, what all the different panels mean, and sequence settings, and a little bit more. I'm going to link down below, like in the description, different time frames for different parts that you want to skip to. So, learn what you need and go make something with it.
Alright, let's start at the beginning. So let's get a new project open. And let's not worry about any of the settings in here. We'll figure it all out from inside. We're going to show you first off how to import. There's two different ways that you can import. You can either drag and drop right into this window right here, or you can right click inside of it and select import. Then you just find your file and then hit import. So in the bottom left hand corner of your media window, you can see there are three different icons for how you can view your files. Now I typically use the one where you can see the thumbnail just because I don't name my files, so I can't really tell which ones they are. But if you name your files, I find it easier to use the list one because then you can see more at once and it's a little bit more organized. Okay, so you've imported your files and you want to start compiling your footage. So you can just grab the video you want and drop it into the timeline. This will take the whole video, both audio and visuals. You'll see this file is now split into two different rectangles. The top is the visual and the bottom is the audio. They're linked, so changes in the length of the video will change the length of the audio. But if you right click and hit unlink, the video will no longer change the audio. So length or distance, none of that will change. Another way to import just the video or audio is by double clicking a file in the media browser, then dragging the film icon down into the timeline or the audio icon down into the timeline, and that'll get you either just your video or just your audio. You can see that the audio is playing because you have those green bars on the right side going up and down indicating that there is sound. Now, when you put the first file into the timeline, this warning may pop up. If you click Keep Sequence Settings, it won't match the settings you shot in. So the whole time you'll be scaling up and down and moving the clip around to fit the sequence settings. If you don't match your sequence settings, a lot of your video will be cropped out and you won't be able to see the full shot. But if instead you click Change Sequence Settings, it'll then match correctly to the file format. To see your sequence settings, just go to the top menu and click Sequence, and it's the top one, Sequence Settings. Here you can customize aspect ratio, quality, frame rate, and more. Make sure to select the editing mode as custom, otherwise some properties may be locked. Okay, now back to the timeline. Let's get an understanding of its format. Starting with visuals, we get channels V1 through V3, but we can also add more by sliding a clip above them or by right-clicking and hit Add Track. So let's right-click and add 4 video tracks on top and 4 on the bottom. So why are we having so many layers when only one clip at a time is showing? So whatever is on top, that is what will be showing. So let's make a title really quick to demonstrate this. To make a title, you can just hit File, New, Legacy Title, and then you'll drag a box open, and that's where you can type. And then you can change the font and the size and a bunch of other different designs in there. Remember, whatever is on top is what will be shown. So if you have a title, it will go over this clip, but if the clip is above that, the title will not be shown. On the audio side, layering does not determine volume. Each track is just as loud as the other, but as you layer more and more tracks, it'll increase your overall volume as you can see to the right. Next on the timeline, we have the left side of it with all the fancy buttons and such. The most useful of these are the lock, the mute, and the I buttons. The M button will mute the volume of a single audio track, and the I button will change the visibility of a single video track. The lock button allows you to lock an entire track and it won't be affected. So say you want the audio to come before the clip, but you don't want to unlink it, you can lock the video track and then move the audio as you want. Now if you move it, this little box in the top left corner of the file will appear. It's telling you how much the video and audio are offset. Okay, lastly on the timeline, we have the way to navigate it. We have 3 scrolls, 2 vertical and 1 horizontal. The horizontal one adjusts the scale and length. The smaller the scroll, the smaller the time intervals and window, and vice versa. The 2 vertical scrolls adjust the height in the audio and video channels, the top for video and the bottom for audio. The smaller you make it, the taller the files appear, giving you more information on them. On the videos, we can see a thumbnail, and on the audio, we can see the audio peaks much better. And on those, we see a line on each file, and by holding down Command or Alt and clicking on it, we can add different keyframes to then change the opacity or the volume for video and audio. In between our media and our timeline, we see a few icons that we use in the timeline for editing. The top one, Selection Tool, Track Select Tool, then Rolling Edit Tool, Razor, Slide, Shape, Zoom, and Text Tool. The icons with the little arrow on the bottom right have multiple tools under it. The most common ones I use are Selection, Razor, and Rate Stretch tools. Now, I used to have to click on each one whenever I wanted to change, which wasn't a big deal, but each one has a shortcut to get to by hitting a key on your keyboard. V for Selection Tool, C for razor tool, and R for rate stretch tool. This way I can quickly hit C and cut it, hit V and move it, hit R and slow it down or speed it up. If you hover your mouse above it, you can see each one has a letter next to it, and that is the key you use for the shortcut. Another useful one is the A button, which is your track select tool. When you hit A, it will select everything to the right of the arrows and move it as you want. And if you hit Shift A, it will get everything to the left of the arrows and you'll be able to move that. Okay, above the timeline we have our display, which is exactly what is set up in the timeline. There's two buttons on it. On the bottom left we have the size, and on the bottom right we have playback quality. I always keep the size to fit and then usually keep playback to 1/2 so it doesn't lag. Then the last panel in the top left corner is the effects panels. To use the effects control panel, we need to click on our file in the timeline, then click effects controls in the top left. In here, we can change position, size, rotation, opacity, speed, and volume. By putting your mouse over the number, we can drag left or right to change all those, or we can click on the motion button at the very top and drag the clip itself around on the frame. Then finally, at the very top, we have our panels. Usually Premiere first opens in the learning panel, then we have assembly, which gives us more space for our media, editing, which opens the effects control panel, color, which pulls up the lumetri color panel on the right, effects, which is the most useful, showing us all effects, preset graphics from Adobe, sound design panel, and the lumetri color panel. So this panel already has 4 of the other panels inside of it, so I typically stick to this one and the editing and the color panel.
All right, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helped and I answered a lot of questions and just basic complications that everybody goes through when they're first making stuff in Adobe Premiere. Let me know what else you need answers to, and hopefully I can provide them for you. And in the meantime, go make something cool. See ya.